WrestleRant. It's WrestleRant edition number 84. I am, of course, your host, Bleacher Report, Feature Columnist Level 3, Graham GSM Matthews, here today to review my experience at WWE Raw Live on Sunday evening, October the 21st. Very, very fun time. As I noted numerous times on Twitter over the last few weeks, this is my first WWE Live event in nearly 2 years. The last event that I attended was Fan Appreciation Day. For those familiar with the event that lived in the Connecticut area, was in spite of the voting and WWE being bashed by politicians in 2010. So that was the last event that I attended. That was in October 2010, October 30th to be exact. So now exactly 2 years later, I attended my first house show. I've attended a Raw show and a SmackDown taping. It's my first Raw house show. So as I said, very, very fun time. Before the show even started, bought my CM Punk armbands. Of course, I used to wear in every single video. I used to wear these DX armbands. No longer. I will be wearing my CM Punk armbands from this point forward. My Punk mark, of course. As similar as this shirt that I'm wearing right now looks like the shirt that I did end up buying. The CM Punk Best in the World t-shirt. Very, very cool. It was sold out at the first merchandise stand that we went to, but it was available at the second one in my size. So very, very cool. And as I just said, it looks very similar to the shirt I'm wearing right now with the same colors and whatnot. But very, very cool. I'm going to be wearing that from now on. I wore my Ryder shirt. My brother bought a Ryder wig when we were there as well. Very, very cheap stuff too. Well, not cheap as in like cheap material, but like cheap price. That was very awesome as well. A lot of cool stuff. So when the show kicked off, a lot of cool stuff went down. They had the Raw general manager AJ come down. She was talking before CM Punk interrupted her. He did his, typical promo and all that good stuff. Making the main event for later in the night, Ryback versus CM Punk. CM Punk also mentioned that Johnson wouldn't be there, and they also said that refunds were available for those that wanted to leave, I guess, because Johnson wasn't there. I don't understand why anyone would want to leave an event just because one person isn't there, but there were a variety of big stars that weren't there, like guys like Miz, Kofi Kingston, Sheamus, Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton. All those guys weren't there. Which did make sense because I later learned that they were in Egypt at the time. They were just coming home from Egypt, so that makes sense. That's understandable. No complaints here because the guys that we did get on the show were fun. But nonetheless, a very, very cool way to kick off the show with Raw General Manager AJ and CM Punk. No cult of personality when CM Punk interrupted. I was a bit disappointed by that, but we got it later in the night, so I was fine by that too. First match of the night, the returning Jack Swagger taking on Brodus Clay. As big of a fan as Brodus Clay as I am, I know a lot of people got tired of his gimmick on entrance on television in recent weeks, and I don't blame them. I have as well. But the entrance live is very, very fun. I was singing along with the song. The kids next to me were looking at me like, "What the hell is this guy doing? Like, what a psycho!" And I don't blame them whatsoever. I was having fun. Brodus Clay is an awesome guy. He was, shaking hands with people. Everyone that wanted to shake his hand when he was going back up the ramp. Defeated Jack Swagger in a typical match, standard matchup. Nothing all too bad here. Pretty decent matchup. Jack Swagger just getting minimum heat. I know he returned on Saturday at a live event, so the next night he returned here to Connecticut. A match against Brodus Clay. Just different hairstyle was the only thing that was different about him. I'd love to see him work as a babyface. Sadly, that wasn't the case here, but maybe at some point. But for right now, a decent match to kick off the show, and a good way to kick off Brodus Clay as well, because he got a pretty good pop in him as well. Next matchup, the match that no one gave two shits about, Damien Sandow versus JTG. Don't get me wrong when I say that, because Damien Sandow was the highlight of this matchup. Damien Sandow came out, would cut a promo immediately when it came out. I was laughing my ass off. This guy is an absolute gold mine, as I said on Twitter every single week when he enters. Damien Sandow equals gold. This guy is a future champ if they book him correctly. JTG, on the other hand, no one gave two shits about JTG at all. My little brother was like, "Is JTG even still employed?" I was like, "I know, people are saying the same exact thing." But of a waste of a matchup, Damien Sandow, as I just said, the highlight of this match. Just doing his typical spots and going over here. Up next, we had Eve versus Layla for the Divas Championship. Pretty good Divas match. From what we saw on Raw, pretty much the same thing. Not much reaction throughout. WWE was smart on their part because before the matchup they aired that Layla, the breast cancer thing with her mom that they aired on Raw this past week. So it was smart of them to air it before Layla's entrance, just get her some sympathy. It's kind of a cheap way to get pop in my opinion, but even still, it was a smart way on WWE's part. Eve got some pretty good heat as well, as it was a pretty good matchup. There were some "Let's Go Layla" chants during the course of the match, which kind of surprised me because we don't usually hear those on Raw. Maybe because it was a smaller audience. So let me get to that real quick. When I went to the Raw taping a couple years ago in December 2009, the thing was packed, of course. This one, a house show. The set was really, really cool. I've never been to a house show, as I said before, so I don't know what it's looked like. I don't know what the setup is, and I know they changed it since 2 years ago since I went to Fan Fan Appreciation Day. So that was really, really cool. About 2/3 of the arena was filled up in the XL Center in Hartford. I think I failed to mention that before, but that's where it took place. And about 2/3 of the arena was filled up. No nosebleed seats, pretty much just the standard middle seats, which I was in and got a great view and a lot of awesome pictures, which are now on my Facebook and Twitter page, so make sure to go check those out. And there were the floor seats weren't all completely filled either. So I think there's a pretty good turnout. Definitely a much more fan-friendly event than I've seen at past tapings that have been in the last 3 years. So the next matchup after that, or Eve successfully retained the Divas Championship, forgot to mention that. Next match, obviously, we had David Otunga versus Michael McGillicuddy. Very interesting here. David Otunga, not so much heat, not really any at all. Goes into the ring, does his Chris Masters poses, stuff like that he's done in the ring in recent weeks. They played music when he's doing poses. That was very, very Chris Masters-like, so I would appreciate it if he didn't do that. But even still, Michael McGillicuddy interrupts David Otunga's posing with a promo. He's seen at the production table. People are like, who the hell is this guy? And I'm like, that's Michael effing McGillicuddy. This guy's got talent. Apparently he's a face now. I know he's faced Otunga and Tensai in recent weeks on Superstars. I don't know if that makes him a face or not, because from this promo, I guess he's a face now. I know people change all the time. Like JTG, he was the heel the last time I saw him on TV. Now he's a face. I don't know at all. So even still, Michael McGillicuddy cut a good promo against Otunga. Came out, his entrance music hit. So that got him some cheers. That was pretty cool. Got a brief pop. Got a pretty decent pop. Comes out, Otunga beats him up before the match even starts. When the bell rings, McGillicuddy hits his finisher within like a minute. Match is over. No one saw the finish coming at all. McGillicuddy goes over here. Kind of a waste of a matchup, but still a good tune-up match for Michael McGillicuddy. If they change his name to Joe Henning, his actual real name, the son of Mr. Perfect, I would have absolutely no problem with him. But I think the fact that his name is Michael McGillicuddy, one of the stupidest names in wrestling today, I think is holding him back. If they do turn him successfully babyface in upcoming weeks and put him in a program maybe with Cesaro or Kofi Kingston, his former pro, as a former NXT pro for the Intercontinental Championship, both ways would be great ways to utilize Michael McGillicuddy in his tremendous talents. Up next, we had the highlight of the night, the most humorous aspect of the entire show, when Team Hell No took on Primo and Epico. Before this match even started earlier in the night, they had a poll voting whether you would want Rosa at ringside. Kind of a stipulation that was kind of dumb to me. I know they've had, extreme stipulations like you want this match to be a street fight, you want this match to be a holds barred, stuff like that. I was expecting something like that. Instead, we got Rosa, either yes or no. Obviously, it was a no. It was rigged, obviously, because it was kind of split down the middle, and a lot of people there at the event were babyface fans, and they would have voted yes, get her out of the arena. So that was rigged. But even still, Rosa made her entrance, so that was pretty lovely as well. Doing those shaky little booty things. The music, I was doing the dance to Primo and Epico's music, very, very catchy. But even still, she made her way down to the ring. AJ banned it from ringside when she came out, so that was cool and logical. The match itself, well wrestled. I mean, it wasn't all that, a barn burn of a matchup. The hilarious aspect of it was the comedic antics and just a hilarity in everything that Daniel Bryan and Kane did. It was probably towards the latter half of the matchup when Daniel Bryan and Kane weren't really getting along, and Kane goes, "Come on, tug it out. Come on, just hug it out." That was pretty cool. And Daniel Bryan's like, "No, no, no!" And Primo and Epico stood up, and my brother were like, why are they just standing there? Why aren't they doing anything? So that was pretty funny. But Primo and Epico stand up. They're like, okay, this is how you do it. So they hug each other. Then Kane goes over and hugs Primo. Then he hugs Epico. And then Kane, Primo, Epico, and the referee all hug at once. It was so funny. I was laughing my ass off, as well as the arena. That was really, really funny. Probably the best part of the night as well. Daniel Bryan just standing there like, what the hell is going on right now? But that was probably the highlight of the night. Really, really funny stuff. Then Daniel Bryan and Kane got on the same page. Double team Primo and Epico. Primo or Epico, I can't remember who it was, hit the backstabber on Bryan, so he goes out of the ring. Kane connects with the chokeslam and retains the tag team titles. After the matchup, Kane and Bryan, they embrace the hug, and they hug. And then after the match, Daniel Bryan takes both tag team title belts. Really, really funny stuff. Daniel Bryan has come a long way. Since last year when he was a bland Mr. Money in the Bank winner. Kane, same thing. A couple months ago, he was one of the most feared guys in the locker room, on television at least, with the Rise Above Hate stuff. Now, fast forward, 10 months later, and this guy's one of the most entertaining aspects in wrestling today. So I'm really, really liking what they're doing with Daniel Bryan and Kane. It might get a little tiresome on television, but live, it's absolutely hilarious. So up next, looking at my schedule here. And then after that, we had an intermission, about a 15-minute intermission. During the course of the intermission and at the beginning of the show, they had a thing where you can text in and, you know, tweet messages with hashtag WWE Hartford. 2 of my tweets got on there. 2 of my friends' tweets got on there who weren't even at the show. So that was really cool. One of my tweets got on twice, so I got a brief shout out there. That was pretty awesome. Wasn't able to take a picture of it. It was only on the screen for about 2 seconds. But even still, once the intermission concluded, we had Santino Marella versus Tensai. Santino got a pretty good pop. Tensai got some mild heat, some more heat than you'd expect. A pretty good matchup, though. A much better match than you'd expect from these two. Tensai worked pretty well. Santino went for his finisher. Santino blocked it. Then Santino hit the Cobra. Sold it very, very well in Tensai's part. So a very comedic matchup, and I enjoyed it and I liked it. As much as I don't like Santino, he's very over with the crowd and the kids love him. So I thought this was a good matchup after the intermission. Up next, a great match, in my personal opinion, the match of the night. Antonio Cesaro is defending his not Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship against Sin Cara. Now Sin Cara got a very big pop, probably the second loudest pop of the night, which was very surprising because this guy was never really notorious for getting big reactions whenever he was on Raw or SmackDown. But nonetheless, a very good pop for Sin Cara. Antonio Cesaro got decent heat. It was about this time that they stopped, one of the Trons up above us stopped working, so we weren't able to see the match of the Titantrons, which kind of aggravated me a little bit. They got them working later in the night, but that was just a side note. The first part of this matchup, kind of a decent matchup, you know, just what you'd expect from these two. Down the stretch, though, extremely suspenseful and exciting near falls, kind of combined 2 words there. But yeah, a very, very, very good match. I mean, no botches from Sin Cara, as from what I saw. Antonio Cesaro was a beast here. He caught Sin Cara in midair and threw him into the ring post. Someone that stood next to me was like, wow, that's a really cool move. I mean, like, they're not even a wrestling fan. They thought it was awesome. So this was match tonight, in my personal opinion. These guys have great chemistry, and I'd love to see this feud over the United States Championship in the very near future. And, of course, Cesaro went over with the neutralizer clean. So up after that, we had the main event between Punk and Ryback for the WWE Championship. A lot of people were saying, why is this it? This doesn't feel like the main event. And I agreed with them because guys like The Miz and Sheamus and Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler weren't on the show. And I later understood that they were in Egypt, so I understand that. But they didn't really make that known when they were at the show on Sunday. Justin Roberts didn't really say anything until later on. But even still, Ryback versus Punk in the main event. This is the 8th match of the night, the final. Very good matchup. From what I've been reading, they've been progressing nicely in past events, but both guys got a lot of good offense here. Ryback looked like a beast. Punk looked great here. Went to the turnbuckle quite many times for some reason. He went, you know, for his signature spots when he's doing the GTS. He did the march around the ring just to mock Ryback. That was hilarious. Ryback ended up getting the pinfall, but Paul Heyman interfered, broke up the pinfall. Ryback wins via DQ, but not the championship per the stipulation. And then he did a sidewalk slam or something like that to Paul Heyman. He was trying to get him up for the shell shock, but he couldn't. He was too heavy, or Paul Heyman wasn't working with him or something. I don't know what the deal was, but he eventually did get him up somewhat and slammed him down to the ground. So props to Paul Heyman for taking a bump there. And CM Punk, he took a shell shock too. So Ryback ends the close. He closed the show on a very happy note. The fans were cheering, "Feed me more." This guy was the most over guy the entire night. Ryback was over as hell. There were a lot of Ryback shirts. I mean, of course, there were more CM Punk yellow shirts, and there were a lot more John Cena, you know, green and Rise Above Cancer shirts, of course. There were some Santino shirts as well, but Ryback had a large following in the show. I mean, this guy had a lot of shirts sold. I saw a lot of people walking around with those shirts. It was really, really cool. But yeah, overall, a very, very entertaining show. As I previously said, my first event since Fan Appreciation Day, and what a great way to come back to WWE's live events. They were always very fun, very fan interactive. I had a great time. Really hoping to go back soon. Got my respective merchandise. Got a lot of good pictures. Make sure, as I just said, check them out on my Twitter at @SAVE_GSM and my official Facebook page. Check out all my 238 pictures that I took from the event. A lot of cool stuff. And I'll be discussing it this Wednesday night on SAVE US GSM on PW247.net at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure to check that out as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe. And this is GSM signing out. Till next time, guys.